This is another episode, guys. As you can see, loads of ELA shirts, or should I say kits? That's because these are all the coaches from ELA. Coach Banks, Coach Kev, Coach Chan, Coach Ronako, and Mr. Sam himself. And it's just, yes, this is something I've been looking forward to, guys. Like, I wanted ELA coaches to get more involved in some episodes. And, we talk about experiences. They will talk about their experiences. And we're all going to just have a quick natter, as they say. So, guys, let's get right straight into this one still. How's your week been, guys? Quickly.
Been good.
It's been good?
Yeah, my penultimate week before I go back to see all the guys. It's been a fantastic visit to see everyone. The club's running well. Just to come to check up on a few things. And I'm glad to say I've kept it in good hands with you fantastic coaches.
Yeah. Where are you off to?
Back to Dubai.
Oh, okay. Because some people watching are like,
yeah. So obviously, for those of you watching, obviously ELA's expanded. We're trying to become a big club. So we're the first country we've gone into is the UAE. We've set up a club there. We've got over 6 teams there currently. So the club is very much growing. It's good to see, though, coming back to London, that ELA is growing. I've come back and we probably signed over 100 players. It's a testament to you guys. It's a testament to Ronaldo that's taken over. As you've seen me at training, I think you guys have seen me training. Me and Ronaldo just been walking around. And it's kind of just like an audit to see who the players are. Have they registered? Are they with the club? So, yeah, man, it's been a fantastic 3 weeks. I hope next time I come it's a bit warmer. Like I'm getting used to that warm weather, like.
Nah, but that's interesting, though. Ronaldo, how's your week been?
Week's been good. When I'm away from ELA, I work in a school, so we had a basketball competition, so that was good. Week with ELA has been great. Always nice to meet the boys. I quite enjoyed attending training and just walking around, getting to know the boys by first name basis.
Okay, like a school teacher, head teacher. Hey, what's your name, sir? That was there.
Yeah, no, we tried to do that at ELA, man. Like I say to the Ronaldo now as well, like we've got around 400 players. Learn everyone's name.
Yeah.
Know who everyone is.
That's crazy.
And like I would like to think when I was here, I knew every single player. And that's what I've been doing with Ronaldo since I've been here, is just learning every single player we have at the club.
That's true. It's
a bit of a personal feel we have at ELA. Obviously, we want to make them better footballers and better people. And we want to learn the kids. And because every kid reacts to different scenarios. And just how can we get the best out of that player and that kid.
That's true. True. And Mr. Kev, go down this side.
Yeah, trying to keep busy. Busy enough this week. Coaching's been going pretty decent at the moment. Enjoying it at the moment.
Good win on Sunday.
Exactly. A good.
Against what team though?
Good win on Sunday. We played Pitt's Hangar on Sunday at their grounds. Yeah, a very good win.
What was the score?
5-4.
Oh, just
tight one.
Just wanted
That's
to
an
put
exciting game, huh?
Just wanted to put it out there. 5-4. That's nice.
Tighter than it should have been.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, enjoying it.
Mr. Chan?
Yeah, all good, thank you. I've had a good week. Just looking forward to the weekend's fixtures.
Mike?
Yeah, looking forward to the weekend's fixtures. I've had a good weekend. Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All good.
Guys, the reason I ask this is a lot of times people just say, how's your day been? How's your week been? It's just like, good. Okay. It's just very vague, but we're here now, so there's a lot to talk about. Everything's centered around academy, centered around football. I don't want to ask who your favorite clubs are. That's not important at the moment. Probably I'll do that at the end when we're like rounding up. That'll make more sense. But we've had a few guests. Obviously, Sammy's been present for most of them. We've had a few guests. You've seen some of our clips. If you're into football and you're within the sphere of football, you've seen some of our clips. And our guests have had interesting takes, from a professional point of view. They've played the game or they're still working in the game. Some takes could be seen as subjective, obviously, because you're like, oh, you've played it, you've seen it that way. And some takes could be educational takes, like from coaches now. So I would like to ask anyone, you can take the floor, but don't hog the mic too much. What interesting, what I would like to ask is, seeing as, like I keep saying, we're the bridge between an academy and grassroots. What exactly do you think? Because there's a lot of not arguments really. There's a thing about character building, kids are soft and all that stuff, which is very, very true. It's actually affecting the fans at the moment because fans now are getting chucked out when they say certain things to certain players on the pitch. You know, so what do you think as a coach? Anyway, as a coach, do you think it's okay? Not okay. Do you think soft players? You know what I mean by soft in this context, right? Anyone? Yeah. Do you think there's a world for them? But do you think we need to get rid of that in football, or you think it's here to stay for the next maybe 60 years or 70 years? You think that's the new way now? We're not gonna have players like the players we grew up watching.
Yeah.
Those days are gone, right?
Well, the players that we watched, that you're talking about,
Yeah.
how do we know that they didn't have a soft period as well?
Mm.
I think with players now, I think because there's so much money in football and there's the camera and there's social media, I think these players are probably being like there's just a microscope on them.
True.
And
true.
with the players that, let's say, that are at academy, I think there's a reason why there's a social and a psychological corner when you look at developing a player. And I think sometimes being soft could be a player's benefit.
In what way? Sorry.
I think probably when it comes to... So probably give me an example of
So in the context of soft, because people might think soft means rolling on the floor. No, I'm talking about the mentality. So I'll give you an example now. Let me pick someone out of the hat. Pogba. Right. I believe Pogba epitomizes soft in my opinion. I just
Okay.
feel like the way he carried himself, I personally don't think kids can grow up looking and go, oh, that's a role model. Now, when we talk about the players that we grew up watching, we don't have to go far. Ronaldo, for instance, is showing us every single thing you would want from a young kid. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. So do you think we now have not
Dan's
to say...
smiling. He's got something to say. I see
Yeah.
him do
You know what it
a
is?
smirk.
Like,
Like,
I can't let you
intervene,
get,
bro.
I can't let you
Intervene.
get away with that saying
With what?
Pogba's soft.
Pogba's soft,
I disagree with that
Okay.
at all, man.
Yeah, let's
We
hear
need
this.
to go into more detail what you mean by soft. This is someone that's a World Cup winner. This is someone that was a vital part in that World Cup win in terms of the leadership that he showed you in the dressing room. And
You mean the 30-second clip that went round viral?
No, but
That
it's
means he's
not
a
just a
leader.
30-second clip. It's his character. If you look at France, especially in international, like Pogba was a major part in that win. Scored in the World Cup final as well. So it's not just a case of a 30-second clip. Even the fact of his brothers kidnapping him and things like that, I wouldn't say he's soft at all, man. When you're looking at players, kind of what Ronaldo was saying, when you're looking at players, you have to look at the bigger picture. When he's on the pitch, I wouldn't say he's soft. So
because look at his environment.
I think there's better examples of soft players than Pogba.
Give me a better example than...
Than a soft player.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think players that don't make it.
That's
think-
not...
Yeah, so let's just swing it back into academy
Yeah.
football.
But that's what I'm
and stuff
trying to get. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
gauge.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just touching based on that. I feel like really soft players don't make it. I don't personally think Pogba's soft.
Okay.
I think obviously he dresses a certain way, and
Again, I said the mentality.
yeah.
Yeah.
I personally
talk
don't
about
think
this.
for someone to get that far in football has got a weak mentality. Personally,
Okay.
it's just everyone's got an opinion. We've got everyone's 5 different
Coming to
minds here.
Italy at a
Yeah.
young age.
Yeah, so like I feel
okay.
like it's because I agree with Collins. I feel like the generation has gone softer, and I feel like softer players don't eventually make it. But in saying that, it's easier to win because if you find a resilient player that wants to work and that wants to grind and wants to think, he'll have the upper edge over these softer players. You know what I mean? So, you want to say something, Kev?
I think in the top level, I kind of agree with what you're saying about Pogba. I think he's had his head turned to a certain degree, and he's come off the boil. And what you said about his early career is spot on. He was a very good player, and I don't think now, obviously you've got his drugs ban and whatever relating to Pogba. I think a lot of the top of the game where the players aren't getting challenged enough.
So are we
At
fair
the
in
top
saying
level.
that he come with a strong mentality, then he went softer later on in the career? Is that like a middle ground that we're getting
So that's
to,
what I
or-
said. That's why I said at the start the context. So we're using him as the what's it
As a
called?
context,
As
yeah.
in the context, right? When I say soft, I don't mean rolling on the floor. I don't mean you making people keep forgetting that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you can have a soft mentality and still make it.
Yeah.
There's so many factors to it. Nepotism. likability, you know, access. There's so many reasons people make it. There's so many reasons people make money. It's not because you're hardworking.
If you was like, give us some examples
And
of
I'll give
soft
it.
players.
And I'm saying the reason I use Pogba is this simple.
I feel like they're softer
when
players.
he's coming.
I feel
to,
like you got Jesse Lingard, you got
Oh
Dele,
no, I was
Dele
gonna
Ali.
get to that. I was gonna get to that.
You know, like
I
there's-
was using Pogba because he's
You
the
know what I mean? So-
he's as a for the caliber of player.
Should,
you know,
should we
sometimes
say weak mentality then?
I don't want to use weak mentality because he's right.
I
The
disagree,
mentality.
I disagree with that as
What?
well regarding Pogba having a weak mentality.
No. That's
No,
what I said.
no,
No,
instead
I
of
didn't say
saying
him
soft.
having weak mentality. I'm saying the word soft is not necessarily weak mentality.
Elaborate what you mean by
All
soft.
right.
there.
When I say
Elaborate
soft,
directly,
in my
yeah.
opinion, I'm talking about people not taking well to criticism. Pogba was never good at taking criticism. He was never good at it. You know, that's soft. Trust me, you've been criticized before. I've been criticized before. I'm not going around thinking, "Whoa, what are they saying? What are you doing?" Like at the end of the day, people forget that these things creep up on you. The whole drug ban and brothers and stuff like that. That's the meaning of soft. These things don't happen to people that are really disciplined. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Soft.
but the thing is, we can't really make that judgment because we don't know him personally.
I'm going based on what we
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not a police officer. I'm not in
That
this
might
life.
not be a fair reflection of reality, though.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
You know, we get to see what we got told.
That's
and we can
that's
make
what
it-
I'm
we
going
can-
off
we-
on.
Yeah,
I'm
but
going
it
off on
doesn't-
what we've been told. I'm using what's on paper, right? For instance, in front of me. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into detail. So going back to academy and grassroots football, we do have kids in this era that could get turned quickly, easily. Why? Because most of them just see what they see on social media. You know, they see the highlight, the clips, all of that.
Yeah.
They're not really looking at it as, okay, football is a team sport. They're looking at it's all about me, which is good to an extent. You know, do you think it's the job of a coach to instill those discipline into them, or just leave? If, like we always say, if a player is really good and is aggressive and that's what helps his game, do we just leave him to do that, or do we have to like rein him in a bit?
I feel like it's the environment of the player which predominantly shows how he's gonna grow. So like we just spoke about a very good under 10?
Under 9,
Under 9?
playing up sometimes.
Santos, we can say he's our player, we can talk about him.
Yeah,
It's no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
We've got a very good under 9 player, is he under 9?
Santos, yeah,
Santos, I want to go watch him. And we just ourselves said he's got attitude. He's got a bit about him. That's one thing about us. Why I think we're a good set of coaches. We're like, let's not take that out of him.
Yeah.
He's a bit hard to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a bit rude sometimes.
sometimes, yeah.
But if we were just made him playing, he's not going to be that
No
guy.
spice,
So this
yeah.
kid, Santos, if you're listening to this, parents, he's a fantastic player. I
He is
love watching him.
fabulous.
I'd rather watch him than a kid that's quiet and doesn't talk and doesn't really do much.
True.
So that's our job as coaches. So going
Yeah.
back to your question,
Yeah.
it's the environment,
Yeah.
but we still got to rein him in. What did you say fantastic to me off camera? We're like, if he's rude to coaches and players, it's an issue. Our players.
Yeah.
If he's got a bit of attitude on
Yep.
the pitch,
Yep.
we don't mind that. We don't want to. Even Jamie said it. I remember Jamie was on our last podcast. He was like, some English coaches, they don't know how to manage a player like that, which is true. You know, like you can butcher players. Like you had Adel Taarabt.
Unpredictable.
He was fantastic under some managers and rubbish under some others.
Yeah.
Can you, as a coach, get the best out of your players? And I feel like those maverick type players, the Paulo Di Canios, these sort of players, they are a bit hard to handle.
Eric Cantona.
They're a bit hard to handle, let's be honest. But at the end of the day, your personality reflects how you play. If you've got a guy who's not really got much personality and he's on the pitch and he passes sideways, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ronaldo's an arrogant guy,
Very
right?
arrogant, yeah.
But he plays
that.
like a G.
And that's why he scores
He
those
plays
goals,
like a
which
G.
is
Ronaldo
easy.
can be arrogant. I hate when people talk about Ronaldo. But he can be arrogant.
Yeah.
His arrogance suits him.
He suits him. If he didn't have that arrogance, he's not Ronaldo.
Yeah, it'll be like.
So,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's what I was trying to say. So again, like I said, anyone that knows and you've heard me talk about using Pogba as soft is just based on how
we can let
lack
that
of
pass. But
discipline-
Colin's not letting him go.
No,
like.
no. I'm using that because a lot of people don't understand the context to it. It's nothing to do with his mentality. It has to just do with him as a person, what he embodies as a football player,
Yeah.
and how much the trajectory on where he should have been right now is not. You know what I mean? So when we talk about even players watching this, kids watching, parents watching this, guys, football is not tennis. It's not golf, where it's an individual sport. It's a team sport. So when you hear things like, "Oh, he won the World Cup," people forget the hardest worker there was Kante. He's not celebrated. Why? Like Sammy just said, he's quiet. He's not flashy. He's not talking. All of that. People forget that.
Yeah.
He's not. He literally carried this team twice, World Cup and in Euros. But no one talks about him.
But
They
that's
just see the
still
Pogba goal.
a personality. Like Sammy saying that there's a lot of coaches that struggle with certain kids' personalities. And the player Sammy mentioned the Decanos, the Cantonas. I think what they all have in common and what's brilliant about them is that because they're so unpredictable, those players can win you a game.
Of course.
Because there's certain things that you can't coach, and when it gets down to the fight and like, okay, no tactic is working, you know what I mean, and those players pick up the ball and do something out of this world, they win you the game. But I think sometimes we try and coach players to a certain personality, a certain look, how we want them to be, and then we have 10 robots on the pitch or 11 robots on the
It's true.
pitch.
It's true. I feel like the do you know what? Obviously, I'm born and raised in England, and it's a statement. English people are known to be very polite. Yeah, very polite. I think English people are probably the most polite people around the world, and in England, you can't be arrogant, right? It's a cultural thing here. You go in America,
Massively.
they're massively arrogant. English people, they're not quite arrogant, right? Which is a good trait sometimes. But I feel like that comes into the personality of stuff, right? So if you go into an academy of football and you see a kid who's got a bit of arrogance about him that can beat a player, they kind of coach that out of him. You know, so when I went to Portugal and obviously saw the academies there and we see these other clubs, a bit of arrogance gives you that self-belief to try that thing, which sometimes we might lack in this country.
And you know what? To be fair, what you've said is so true. I don't think, you're right. The culture here is zero arrogance. You shouldn't have it. That's not the right way to do it. Personally, I feel like you should be arrogant. You should be an arrogant person if you're good at something.
I feel like a player in the final third has to have some arrogance about him. Has to have some flair about him. Has to be a bit of a maverick.
Yeah,
a final third player.
With.
When you look at all these guys that are like flashy, they're kind of arrogant people and they play in the final third. You don't see many like flashy centre backs. You know, I haven't seen many centre backs on the
Rio
maybe. Rio's got a bit about him, but like it's
yeah.
more like Ronaldo, like Nani, Quaresma. They got a bit about them. They look flashy. Why do you always think it's the wingers and the strikers that get all the girls and they look flashy and they dress up and it's these because they paid the most. They got a bit more about them, and that comes down to not obviously they're good at football, but it's their personality that's made them like that.
Absolutely, and I feel like even as we coaches here, we can see certain kids when we're on a day-to-day or weekend to weekend when we're coaching kids or watching them play. You can see the kids that if they keep going, they're surely gonna make it. Not necessarily to do with ability, but to do with the personality and how they are as a person. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I've always said it. For any kid playing football, watching football, wants to get into football, just pick what you're really good at and stick to it. Everything else is work in progress. And I feel like most coaches don't realize that. That's just my opinion. Most coaches don't realize that. It's saying kids, when I coach, on purpose, I'm harsh up on them. And there's some I just let it go. Because, again, remember, you're teaching these kids how the world is realistically, you know? You'll be in some places, someone will be like, hey, Renako, pick up that tissue. And you're like, bro, Chan just walked past. You didn't ask Chan. You're like, wait, what's going on here? So most of these kids don't get that. That's why sometimes, like we spoke off the pod, and you're like, oh, you're maybe a bit harsh about, you've just seen one game. And I've coached him over, that kid over how many, 60 games. And I know what he responds to. And I like seeing the kid feeling like, oh, I've not done much today. It's better than me seeing him smiling, walking around. There's some other kids that don't put in zero effort. I never say anything to them. I'm like, oh, good game. See you next week.
Yeah.
Because I know that their personality and to bring the best out of them isn't to even talk to them in that tone. Why? There's some kids, that's what they're used to at home. So I feel like sometimes it's good for coaches to like know either the parents or just understand the cultural background and just copy what you see a parent is doing to the kid and how they respond and just use that. If you know what I mean, do you guys agree? Do you think you can,
I agree. Yeah.
To do that, just, not steal, but just, copy a template of whatever the parent is doing with the child and use it as something when coaching. Chan, you were going to say something earlier.
Regarding what you were saying about the games going soft, I agree with you in terms of that. And I think a lot of that is to do with the environment in terms of, say, if you've got a young player coming through and that's been deemed as the next big thing. Now, where there's so much money within football, we're giving players too much too early. And say, for example, they haven't broken into the first team, but he's got a big reputation. He might be financially paid so well, he may lose his hunger. So rather than actually carry on working hard to get there, his whole lifestyle's changed, his family's lifestyle's changed, and that can really affect people's hunger. Now, when I look at certain players like Marshall, I'll give him an example, has come to Manchester United and he's been given over £100,000 since like 18 years old. Like I feel like this really impacts players. Depay being another one as well. So I don't really want to get into a thing where players are getting too much too early and is hindering.
I think that's a very good point Chan said, because we saw that from the dog's mouth of Carlton Cole in the last one. He's like, I was coming to the end of my career. He's still playing. He went to Jamie's, and Jamie's training is very, very hard, right? So he made him question himself, do I still want to be a pro? Because I've made all this bucket load of money and blah, blah, blah. Do I still want to put in that effort? And I agree with Chan. Certain players are getting so much money so soon. And then when you're making that much money, like you've made it. 100K a week at 18-year-old.
To sit on the bench
a lot of
as
money.
well, yeah.
I think there's a boy that left Crystal Palace and he signed at Man United, Sam. His contract is a lot of money for that age. I think he's 16 or 17. He didn't sign a scholar at Palace. Man United have taken him. This is recently. He's on big money as a 16-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Like, big money.
But then...
when he turned 17 to sign the pro,
Yeah.
but he's on peas, bro. Like, you would like to think he's got the hunger and the drive, and that's not going to affect him. I think from what I know of him, he's a good kid. But, like, touching on that, some players might have come soft because there's so much money in the game now, and they're giving it to the kids too soon. When Jamie was coming through, and you see his hunger and you see his personality coming out of it, they wasn't getting paid nowhere near as much as they do get paid now.
Yeah.
Because obviously the TV rights.
But that's the difference, though. Now, I feel like for those players, then it's all about the love of the sport, than the lifestyle of the sports, like the lifestyle you get off it. And I feel like in this era, people are focused on the lifestyle. You turn on your phones, you turn on your TV, and that's what it is. So why do you? Now we're hearing this, but you have to think: why do you South Americans? They're very different. The hunger never goes, except maybe some of the Brazilians. But I'm talking about your Ecuadorians, your Venezuelans. When they get into football, the South Americans in general.
I think it's if you're embedded with it.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's exactly
sometimes
And the
you can
media
take
as
the
well.
you can take the man out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the man sometimes. And it's true. You see it with
That's
some
true.
people. You know, like Carlton, he saw him. He was very down to earth, a lovely guy, and he's like, I was doing chores when I was a young kid. Like
Because he
Luis
learned that
Diaz,
from home.
Luis Diaz went through madnesses in his life. You can see he's got hunger. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. I feel like someone that's come from these deprived areas, and then it comes to environment, and they get millions later on, but they've just instilled with
Instilled
hunger.
in them.
It's part of you. Hey, I've been doing this.
That's massive, like in academy football, and I totally agree. Where you've got like a bubble, and you're, you know, you think you have made it to a certain degree because you're guaranteed like some kind of money, and you feel like, you know, to be young, and if you're being told by your parents and your coaches you're wonderful, and you haven't been through the YTS thing, you haven't been through cleaning boots, you haven't been humbled by people. You know, humble but respect elders, as in like people who are worth respecting, not respecting people for the sake of it.
Yeah.
That's a massive issue in football.
I know, but I can only speak for myself. When I'm coaching the boys, you can't. Again, I've said in the last pod, I've said a few times, I don't like players walking in when it's halftime. It makes no sense to me. Run in. Look like, hey, I want to still be on that pitch playing football, not just trudging in like, coming in. No, except you're injured, fair enough, but you have to walk in. And I feel like it's down to the coaches to instill this little discipline.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
But
and ELA we do it.
Yeah,
but,
ELA we do it. We always, you know, we make kids better. Footballers, we make them better people. This is what we always say to people as well. But like, you can't even blame some of these young footballers, because if you're an under 13 playing for Arsenal, bro, all your friends are begging it with you.
Yeah.
You got all the girls at schools like, oh my God, he plays for Arsenal. You get special treatment from the teachers knowing that you play for an academy.
And you might not even be the best player.
If you're an academy footballer at school, you get special treatment.
Oh, yeah,
All the academy players know this. You know, you'll get they allow you a little bit more. You get that trust. So like, can you really blame these young people? They need good mentors around them.
Yeah.
I feel like parents of academy footballers, if you really want your son to get to that next level, keep them humble, keep them hungry, keep them listening to coaches, keep them working hard, keep them morals and them chores at home going. Don't babysit them and like, oh my God, he plays for an academy. Oh, son. I don't recommend doing that.
Yeah.
You
That's why Rodri is
let them be good.
Yeah.
You still want your son to be a good person.
Facts.
And at the end of the day, it helps them become a better footballer, because that hunger and that drive is ultimately what builds that resilience for you to become a professional footballer. Because being at academy football, we've seen so many players that are the best at under 13 Cat 1 players. They don't really sign a pro, or they sign a pro and they end up at League 2.
Yeah.
And we've seen players that have been released, like Eddie Nketiah, Harry Kane. So many players that have been released and they've come and they've got massive... Eze, credit to him. They've got careers in the game, and you've got these guys are perfect examples. Harry Kane, Eze, Nketiah, Declan Rice. These guys, you can tell they got resilience. They've been released, and you could think the game is gone for you. Being released, not even like got to a pro and released. They've been released at schoolboy, and they've gone to play at the highest level. So, for me, those guys are the opposite of soft. The guys that I mentioned, they're resilient.
Yeah, I was just gonna say maybe that's what's affecting Rashford right now, because if he's come from under 9 to the first team, no one's probably ever told him no.
True.
You know what I mean? So now he's probably feeling hardship now.
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah, so
he's been a star boy
how is he gonna cope with it? Hopefully this new manager gets him back to where he was, but I'm just thinking like those players Sammy mentioned, like so when they then in their career feel okay, it's not working out, but then they can learn from their experiences.
It's a great point, because sometimes you need, for your development, you need to go through things at a young age. Because if you go through things at a young age, you understand what that's like, and then you can come back from it. If you don't go through nothing and everything is going well, and then later on in your career, when you're 26, 27 years old, you're facing things for the first time, is like how do I react to this situation? I'm finding it difficult because I've never been in this situation before. But as you're saying, like your Declan Rice's, your Eddie Nketiah's, they've been through some type of adversity and they've had to go through that, and that's made them into the person they are now. Regarding Rashford, sometimes obviously you got to play for the right manager. You've seen loads of players where under certain managers, they're not really looking that well to go to another manager that fits into the philosophy that the players playing in, and they look like whole different types of players. So it'd be interesting to see what Marcus Rashford we get now, and he's another one that as well. He's got money at a young age as well, and that could have dampened his development to a degree.
But there's another thing we're forgetting though, that in life people peak at different ages.
Yeah,
like
that as well.
Not necessarily making it about the footballers, we're just using them as templates, as examples, obviously. But the truth is, people peak at different ages. Like a Rashford, we're gonna have a kid like him, maybe in ELA or somewhere. They've just peaked. That's about it. So it's nothing to do with they're dealing with stuff at home. He's got his bad form. No, excuse me. He's just peaked. So, excuse me. I think like with Rashford or any other kid that is going through that, rough patch. Sometimes in life, you need to now understand, okay, what can I do? What can I do now? Okay, people expect me to run past 3 players, and I don't think I can do that anymore. Maybe I need to now work on my passing. Maybe I need to, again, example, Beckham. When Beckham felt his legs were going, he started moving more into the central midfield. It's just, this is one thing as well. I feel like coaches too can like look at certain players and go, you used to do this last season. You're not doing it anymore. Not necessarily thinking the player doesn't want it anymore. It's more like, okay, cool. What are your other strengths? Let's work on your other strengths, for instance. So I just feel like certain players will peak.
Yeah.
I've seen kids I grew up with peaked at the age of 14. They were ballers at the age of 10. I'm going here for this showcase. I'm playing here. And I'm like, and at the age of 14, 15. And I was like, people barging you. Hey, like, you used to be good. But it's just, I don't know who I was speaking to last weekend. I was saying, I grew up with I was speaking to one of ELA parents that drove me to one of our games in the morning, and I was talking to him about a kid I grew up with in secondary school, Abel, Ethiopian. He joined the school, and he was only playing basketball. So I got him to play in rubber. Back in the days, rubber was still existing. He was not good at football. No, honestly, there's no nicer way to put it. He was horrible. But anyway, we went away that summer. Even Coach Mo knows him. We went away that summer. Came back the next year. I think it was the year 10 or 11. This kid is a baller. I promise you, I thought he was trolling everyone. Like he went and he signed with this Sunday League team, and they were in what step? I can't remember what step. But just saying, I can't get it. So that means he peaked at a random age. Because then it was just like, it was just not good. So I just feel like as most times we talk about coaches and players, we talk about things like, oh, this guy is not good enough. But some people just peak at a certain age and it's done for them. But it's not for you to give up, obviously. It's for you to like, what else can I do? Some players go into coaching, and that's something we need to talk more about. Kids, you don't have to just put all your eggs in one basket. You know, if it doesn't work for you in playing football, maybe you could just be something in football. You can still be in the industry. You can do a podcast. No, share your experience. You know what I mean? And that's why I think in ELA, I'll speak for myself. I don't know about the other coaches with the groups. I'm always talking to the boys. Hey, and I'll joke with them. Hey, come, you're sub. You'll be my assistant coach. Come, stand here. Do you get it? Just waste of. Okay, you know what? Maybe this could just be me. I'm not that great, but I could just do this. But yeah, go on.
Totally, that's huge because most of them are not going to make it if they haven't got experience of other sports. And the reason why they're playing football in the first place is not just enjoyment. It's like so they can be fit, they can use their body, especially if, you know, whatever the benefits of the game outside of just going professional, which is the major goal. Playing other sports is humbling as well. If they go and take a new sport or they go, I don't know, do martial arts, do something they don't like. Yeah, if they're not aggressive, do martial arts. And that's not to be the best at martial arts. That's to realise your own strength and realise, you know, find out something about yourself.
Yeah, rugby,
yeah,
tennis.
find out something about yourself sometimes.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You know, it's the last thing a kid wants to hear at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 is like, I'm not going to make it pro.
Yeah,
so
they
like, keep going, keep working hard.
Oh no, 100%.
There's stories that it happens, so keep working hard. But touching on what Collins and Kevin are saying, there's some fantastic other traits you learn with playing football and sports, team sports. You build confidence, you keep your mental health, you make a lot of friends. It actually makes you better in regardless of whatever you do. So keep going, keep trying to make it.
You learn to maneuver out of situations.
Maneuver out of situations. But regardless, there's so many peak values you learn from playing a team sport. I don't think anyone in this room would be the same person if they didn't have the sport that they had growing up. So imagine all of you four. Imagine we didn't give you that sport, football. Do you think you'll be the same guy? You wouldn't.
Man. I wouldn't be.
I definitely wouldn't be the same person I am today.
I wouldn't actually.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like,
it's got a massive.
During lockdown when there was no football, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, being serious, through my whole life, I've been watching football, and then now there's no football. It's like, what do I do in my weekends? Like,
and you know what? That's so important because also we need to even touch on the way coaches interact with kids as well, because like Ronaldo did touch on it earlier. I think off the pod, sometimes the way some coaches will interact with kids would turn them off of football, off the game and stuff like that. And I've always believed this thing. Like they say, what did they say? Different strokes for different folks. So for me, I treat all my players differently. All of them. There's some players I'm harsher. Some players I promise you, like
that's part of being a good leader.
Yeah.
Whatever. If you're being a manager, this is why like becoming a manager, the transferable skill is the same as being a manager at work.
Yeah.
You know, of a construction company. You know, like how can you get the best out of the person working, and that's a trait which not everyone has.
Yeah.
But I feel like the best managers, football managers, have that trait.
Yeah.
You know, how can you can't treat everyone the same.
Impossible.
Unfortunately, because not everyone's the same.
Our fingers are not equal. So kids watching this, your fingers.
You know
are
what I mean?
equal,
So
yeah, because have you lot seen the Last Dance documentary?
Yes.
So you know how Phil Jackson, how he had Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Yep.
And then he had two other guys who weren't as big.
Trying to manage, what's his name? Dennis Rodman?
Yeah, Dennis Rodman.
My God.
Yeah, so.
Trying to manage that guy.
Madman.
But he understood that he needed to party.
Yep.
But he would be the best, still be the best
2 days
trainer
off.
and still be the best defender.
You know what it is? Some managers,
this
is what happens now,
Ego,
yeah?
innit?
This is a problem. This is a problem which is a question to everyone and listening. What do you do with someone like a Dennis Rodman? Because nowadays, if you give him 2 days off because he wants to go party, the whole media is going to slate you. So other players are like, I want to party. Why are you giving him special treatment? It's a catch-22 because
I think even better
you know what he
than
needs
Dennis
to...
Rodman. Not to interrupt you, I want you to please keep the train of thought because some people don't know who Dennis Rodman is. Use a Rooney.
Nah, he's worse.
No, Dennis Rodman was worse.
He's
No.
way
I'm
worse,
saying
bro.
Dennis
I know,
Rodman was
I know,
worse.
Dennis
I know,
Rodman?
but because some people don't know who Dennis Rodman
No,
is.
let me give you
they
no.
were my
I'll give
Google.
a better equivalent. Balotelli. That's a better
That's the
equivalent.
one.
It's a way better equivalent.
Balotelli. What a
Balotelli.
player.
But with Dennis Rodman,
Yeah.
the thing that Phil Jackson said in the documentary is that his performance never dropped.
Of course.
Yeah.
So even if when he went to party,
So
it
that is the
didn't-
catch-22
it
though,
didn't- he
because-
didn't bring it back with
Yeah,
him.
that's
course, 'cause
that
he's
is the
feeding the
catch-22.
beast,
He might
yeah.
even play better.
Yeah.
But the other side of things now, especially how the media is into everything at the moment, right? How would everyone react to someone doing that?
Well,
Imagine you're at work. You're all at work. You go to work, and your colleague is getting Friday, Monday off, where you got to come to work. You're like,
No, I wouldn't even
but
ask.
some people are team players,
Yeah.
and that's why I mean it's a
You
team
have to
sport.
understand it, yeah.
You understand that ultimately, he's a special character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, he's gonna make you guys win because he was a pivotal basketball player. He was a
Yeah,
good player.
Yeah, he
So
got defensive player of the year. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was
he
like,
got with Pamela Anderson, no, or Carmen Electra.
Yeah,
one of them.
Carmen Electra,
Yeah, he
yeah.
done well, man.
Pamela Anderson.
mate, he was all over the place.
Yeah, bro.
but like in football, it'd probably be the opposite. It'd be the striker that gets it off. You know,
Yeah.
instead of like the brutal. He was a brutal defender.
Yeah, and that's
I
something
feel
that
like
It was
basketball's
impossible
different.
to
Yeah,
like.
yeah. But that's something
when
that
he was
kids
defender
need
at
to
the Detroit Pistons,
Yeah.
like they had a brutal defense.
Yeah.
The
But that's
likes
something
of-
kids should know. Actually,
yeah.
what you've just said is something kids should know because I know we grew up. Football has been glorified into the sports that worship. They do, of course, they worship the strikers and the flashy or flamboyant players, but people forget the defenders. So I know a lot of kids when they come together, especially in ELA, sometimes when they come for trials, when I ask them, well, on purpose, even though I just do this just to make myself laugh, guys, it's for my own entertainment. I go, what position do you play? I've never seen a kid go to me and go, I'm a defender.
What? We get him all the time.
No.
His groups are probably a bit younger.
Yeah.
So, like,
So they're
by
always-
then,
that's
by
what
then
I'm
when they've
saying.
got become a defender, that age group, they got pushed back. They got
Yeah.
doing enough. Like,
So it's like my age group is just in that sense, it's just funny to hear. You're like, you're a striker? Okay. So like a couple of weeks ago, so I don't put a date on it, no timestamp. A couple of weeks ago, we had this player turned up, he's dressed, and I was like, I looked at his kit, and he's got a kit where the kit he was wearing from that country, they're like really very flamboyant. They love flair. So I was like, what position do you play? He goes to me, I'm a winger. It's like, okay. Now, again, as a coach, we all do that. We always kind of size up the player. You're looking at his physique. Are you sure? Anyway, game
one
started.
thing I would say to anyone going on trial, just touching on
Yeah.
that quick, if you're going on trial, look the part.
Yeah, look the
At
part.
least look the part.
Look the part, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He did with the
Yeah,
kit he
yeah.
had on and his boots and he had gloves. It was giving me vibes of Tarap. So I was thinking, but his size wasn't giving Tarap. So, but I was like, you know what? I've seen players that can do the deal without even looking. Started playing and I'm like, right, this is not going the way up.
This doesn't correlate.
It's like Henry
You know
with
what
the
I mean?
long sleeves
so
and
obviously
gloves.
with
long day.
coaches, which is an interesting conversation with coaches. See, if you've ever encountered that, how have you dealt with it?
That with what?
Like from just seeing a player and expecting
expecting-
expectation is high,
expectation,
but
yeah.
the delivery was low.
No, you see it like a kid receives the ball off their first touch, they look amazing, and then a couple of touches later, you're just like, okay.
You know what I mean? And I've dealt with that a lot of times. And anyone I've seen my group play, I've made sure that one group is the ones that have been here for years or longer months, so I know them. And the other group are kids that just joined, so they can understand the philosophy and stuff. And seeing people join and see the way they play, and you're like, oh, I see where they're coming from. Now, no shade to any other grassroots teams, but every parent that's left ELA by maybe they're moving countries or they're moving houses, whatever the case is, they've always said good things about ELA. Again, I know people be like, oh, that's biased to say. No, I'm being honest. They go, right, it's different.
But if we look at the
It's
facts,
different.
if we look at the facts, okay,
Yeah.
what is it you look for in a club? Okay, opportunities.
Yeah.
Number one, we have had over 60 players sign up professional clubs, massive clubs: Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham. Playing against academies. Chan, you've seen how many academy games we play. We play academy game all the time. It's documented well on our Instagrams, I'm sure. Fantastic coaches. Okay, that's another thing. So opportunities is ticked. Academy games ticked. Fantastic coaches like yourselves. You know, great coaches. I think we've got some of the best coaches. Facilities, home ground. Alec Reed, one of the best in London.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. Training facility at the moment is not the best, right? But I'm proud to announce. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're gonna be on 4G permanently going forward.
Right.
You
When
know.
is this?
Yeah. Have I not told you this yet?
Hey guys,
Breaking news.
breaking
breaking
news.
news.
I'm hearing this from
Yeah.
Where's the bar?
So you know,
Where is it?
coming from January onwards, we'll be
sports
permanent.
news.
So
We're permanent where? So
yeah,
that
don't
they
worry.
know so
can
we go.
speak.
So that you know it's advert.
Play
we're
Football
advertising.
Club the sports. So
Ah.
fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic facilities.
Wait, where's that?
Yeah, it's fine. Cause we'll speak later, man. It's fine.
Come on,
So,
Okay,
come on.
after workout, straight
you
to
know what I
work.
mean? So like ticking all the boxes
Straight out the sauna.
so we could be biased, but like ticking all the boxes. What do you want in a club? Great coaches that are role models, make your kid a better person. This is so key when picking a club. Make sure there's good role models looking after your kids, because you don't want your kid learning certain traits. Opportunities are the hardest thing to get in football. Okay, hardest thing to find a club that's got good opportunities. Obviously, the club's run by myself. I've been a scout for over 12 years at 5 different professional clubs. So that comes from, obviously, me working in the industry, knowing these clubs. And tell me, please, I would love to hear this. What other private academies or grassroots academies are playing PSG,
I can tell you.
Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, these big clubs?
There's
So,
another club doing that. ELA.
yeah, man.
ALE.
Yeah, so like, what
ELA
clubs?
Dubai.
What clubs? what
ELA
clubs?
Dubai.
What grassroots club
Too
is
busy
playing
to do
PSG?
reconnaissance.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So
Exactly. No, but it's interesting, and that's something
EDA.
as well. With all these opportunities, like Sammy just said, it's so important. For me, this is something I really want to talk about. Is parents, please. If let's just say I get it, we live in a world where loads of kids just want to play football as a hobby. They're not looking to become the next whatever. They don't want that. And I always have this belief here. If you're gonna get into something, know about it. So if I'm gonna get into, let me pick something, cooking, for instance. I must know about ingredients, and I must somehow know about nutrients, balanced diets and all that stuff. There's no way as a parent you get into football and you don't know the intricacies of football. So you don't know that, okay, cool. And not, again, I know it's difficult because most people are paying for the service, so they expect, my son has to, or my daughter has to play every minute. It doesn't work like that. And that's
from
one
grassroots to professional, minutes are
Exactly.
earned.
Yes, thank you
Regardless if
very
you're
much.
paying or not, so is everyone else.
Exactly. And that's
You know,
something.
and what
it's
you're
part
teaching
of
the kids,
discipline.
everyone's equal. Play. They're not
Yeah.
learning the
So
the
how are you gonna
graft.
fight for it? How are you gonna
Yeah.
grow up having this competitive nature? I know we've had a few times where parents are like, "Oh, my child only played 5 minutes, 6 minutes," and sometimes most parents that don't say that straight away, maybe they moan to another parent. Please, parents, learn to ask your coaches: Is this a cup game or is
Yeah,
this
I
a
got a
league
question
game?
then.
Yeah.
How, as coaches, do you feel like you build a winning mentality? So, like, you know how we're saying minutes are earned. So I think, shout out Coach Salim. I think he built quite a good winning mentality with his under 14s last year, and I think, like, hopefully they still have that winning mentality now, and they still have the attributes that they built last year. But I think that team, they built such a winning mentality that they went into every game thinking, you know what, we're going to win it. Every academy game, we're going to beat them. And I think, like, at the younger ages, how do you think that we can positively build a winning mentality?
So for me, I can answer that for the younger ages because obviously from 6 to 11, that's what I kind of deal with. Every team I've played with, most of the parents know I'm all about. I tell people because I study it. I study psychology, so I know what winning means for a child. Like for me, I really don't care. I'm not gonna have it on my CV that guess what, I won this. My under 9s were unbeaten every single game. Parents were even bantering, saying, "Oh, we're gonna win this again, innit?" Before the game starts. Like the game hadn't started, they were saying this. So we built that so much in their minds, and even till now, you see when we play, a group joined the London Youth last season, Coach Mo's group. The way they the transition was not as easy as it is for my boys now. And I can tell that that's the mentality. They know, the boys already know with me. So parents are like, "Wow, we thought they were going to struggle." In my head, even me as well, I was not expecting much, but I expected them to win some games, not every game, like destroying teams. I didn't expect that. But then I look back and I go, "Oh, that's probably something I instilled in them, or that's something I've made them believe."
Yeah,
You
so
know what I'm
how
saying?
do you build it? So, like, anyone that's watching it, and like, let's say if it's a coach watching it and they want to build a winning mentality, but okay, at that age group,
Yeah. Okay,
you might have a kid that is struggling, but he needs the minutes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he's the one that needs it the most to be on the pitch to learn.
Absolutely.
But then,
Yeah, how to build that, especially for younger kids, is 2 things kids love. They love a game. I mean, competition. They love competition. Hence why when you tell a young kid, "Oh, let's do hide and seek," triggers their mind. Oh, I need to go. Or if you say, if you run from here to here and you get here first, I'll give you a chocolate. They love competition. They love it. So that's the best way to build it with kids. Because at this point now, they're just blank canvases. So all you need to do is empty paper, like blank paper. Just paint whatever you want to paint, and just draw and design what you want to see from a child. With my group, like I said, competition. Sometimes on purpose, I'll go, anyone that scores, it's not coming off. No, watch everyone trying to score.
It's true because
Watch everyone trying to score.
it's true because Jamie, when he was on the pod, Martin O'Neill was obviously a very well-known manager.
Yeah.
He goes, he instilled that winning in us because he's the one that introduced forfeits. So if you play a game and your team loses, you're doing a forfeit.
Yep.
And that instills that winning mentality.
Thanks.
And it's crazy now, though. Like, if you go to an academy at under 8 and under 9 and under 10 and 11, you can't talk about winning the game. Do you know that? I don't know. For those guys that work in academies, you can't. It's such a taboo to act like you want to win the game at them ages. But ultimately, you're not really teaching them later on how to win the games. Obviously, winning is the not most important thing at that age. You do want a boy to develop. But it's actually such a taboo to speak to a player, try win the game.
I disagree.
think-
Winning
No,
is
no,
the most
I agree.
important thing.
I agree.
Do you think that's
I'm-
why-
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
That-
I'm just saying my experience working with an academy. You ask any guy that plays in an academy, or any of these coaches, they sugarcoat it. They all care, but when they lose, they just don't want to accept it. But
So when you say winning is the most important thing, when you in terms of what for me is development over winning, I want to do both, and I feel like you can do both, but there's certain stages where development's
always first.
is going to play a more important role.
Absolutely.
But it depends on how you're looking at it from a short-term point of view or a long-term point of view. Because as you're saying, if you get a kid and kind of going on answering your questions, how do you develop that winning mentality? If you get kids at a young age, it's going to be about development. And in that development stage, you may not be winning every games, but in 2 years' time, that's where the wins may start
so
to
you're
happen.
building it.
Because you're
yeah,
building it.
I agree. At that age, development is more important.
Yeah.
But please do not hide away from getting a winning mentality.
Yeah, it's also
That's it.
important as well.
I think for me,
Develop
both
to
of them.
win.
Yeah.
Go on, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, we touched on this earlier. You guys were talking about it, where in England you're kind of embarrassed to win. Now, if you look at the school system where they had if a kid's really athletic and does well, everyone gets a gold medal regardless. People should be told they're first, not so you fill their head with arrogance, or so to speak, or like overconfidence. Yeah. But the person who finishes first shouldn't be embarrassed about it, and I think that's a thing in English.
feel
sport.
bad about
They feel
coming
bad
first.
about it. Do you know what I
Even
mean? Or
certain-
But I
to
hear,
a certain
You're
degree,
right.
and that's a thing of English sport.
Absolutely. I
Even
hear
so-
Like you're
schools-
embarrassed, aren't you, to be the best to a certain degree?
Certain schools are maybe not letting academy players play because they're saying it's unfair for the other children. I don't really agree with things like that.
Yeah,
to
but
be
I
honest,
don't
man.
blame those
That-
people.
that-
It's
that's-
the,
I
it's
don't
the
think- I don't
culture
think
and the
that's- I don't think- I
mentality.
don't
I'm
think
from a
that's right.
place where, growing up, obviously I was born in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
As a young kid till the age of whatever, until I left, 10, 11, whatever the age was, in terms of going to school, there was positions. And if you don't do well, you repeat that class. So let's say, for instance, you get to year 3 and you don't do really well, you stay in year 3 until you get it right. So that mentality is got me through so many things. Like I do a lot of things in a day that people go, how do you do that? It's the mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. So in England, you hear people going, oh, development is more. Yeah, of course. But how about development winning on par? They should be on par. Look at Spain. Look at all these other countries. They don't just say, oh, yeah, you know what? We're going to lose so many games then, boys, to develop. No.
Ultimately,
Because
you're there
a
to win the
kid
game.
Yeah.
remembers
Ultimately, you're there
their
to
last
win the game.
performance when they win. I've worked with kids for so many years and I can tell you the excitement. Do you know a kid learns quicker when he wins? He learns quicker. He just remembers. That's why the saying came from kids. You're as good as your last performance.
Well, do
It
you
came
think
from...
They learn quicker when they lose as well. I think sometimes the kids may.
Okay,
it depends.
that's
It depends on the mindset. as
I
well.
think maybe
excellent.
winning probably
Well,
sets a standard.
That's my
and
point.
I feel
And they
like
learn.
Losing
and then
maybe hurts you more.
yeah, it hurts
So
you.
you
more.
either win or you
Who
learn.
wants to remember pain?
Huh?
Who wants to remember pain
Pain makes you
No, but
remember
pain
what
makes you
not to
remember
do.
though.
as an adult? I'm trying to let you guys know with kids.
Yeah.
I've done it so many years and so many times.
But-
with a kid, I'll tell a kid, oh, do you remember what happened last
No,
week?
but
They
kids
will tell
remember
you
pain.
details.
I don't know, you know.
But when they're winning,
I don't know about that one.
what are they actually? They may not be learning nothing, so they remember they
Yes.
won,
I'm
but they
not
may not have
disputing
learned
that.
anything.
No, I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing. I just want to put it out there.
learn more than lost
Why
than a
did they
win.
win?
No,
I think you learn more
guys,
from a
we're
loss.
talking from hindsight. We're talking from an
I
adult
think winning
perspective.
only sets probably the standard, the blueprint, but you learn more from a loss.
Okay, we're talking as adults, guys.
Yeah.
Perspectively, as a kid,
As an adult as well, man.
That's what I just said.
No, but I'm saying as an adult, I've lost.
I
And
learned
I've
from
learned
losing.
from that,
No,
bro.
we all
You know?
learn from losing as adults. Remember,
Oh, you
there's
were saying
no
as a kid?
As a kid, that's what I've said from
But
the start.
it's
No,
our
but-
job to instill that into the children to say, okay, we've lost. Now is the opportunity to learn. That's why it's such an important to have.
Yeah,
I'm not
to
disputing that.
have
I'm
a good coach.
I'm not disputing
Because
that.
a good coach will let the children know, okay, you've lost. This feels bad, but this is an opportunity to
Yeah,
learn.
I'm not disputing
And then
that.
they
So
can
from
learn
the age
from
of
that and they
14,
can grow.
15, these conversations about, oh, you learn from, yes, you start, you don't need to have this conversation with a 14-year or 15. They start to see it. The way they talk, the verbiage, the rhetoric, the things they say, you're like, oh, maybe this kid is paying attention. You see from the 8, 9, 10, their minds are just filled with
I
win.
kind of understand what he's saying.
Their
you know.
minds is so filled with winning where they'll
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to school. I work in a
yeah.
school.
Yeah,
they go
yeah.
to school.
I
All they talk
kinda
about
get that.
is winning.
Then
They
that-
remember the
I
winning.
kinda get
They don't
that.
remember
I
the
kinda
losses.
get what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
But-
maybe they don't. Maybe
but-
maybe they remember the winning, but the loss has still taught them.
Regardless, see if you're still a 9-year-old and you're just driven, that a loss is still gonna hurt you.
I still
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like
yeah.
we're missing.
I think Ronaldo lost at 9 years old. He's pissed off.
No,
Yeah.
no. Again, guys,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
not disputing the fact that people learn from losing. We as adults, we do that because
I
why?
think it's a human thing.
It's a human thing. I'm
all
talking
learn.
But
about
some people
kids.
shy away. Some people lose and quit.
Yeah,
I know,
Some
but
people lose
even
and quit.
with kids, like if you have a 10-year-old, yeah, do a step over and place in the corner, and you as an adult go, yes, I told you, blah blah blah. I promise you, that child will come next week, try to do it. Keep repeating that stuff because the endorphin in his brain is telling him, oh yeah, that's all you have to do,
Yeah.
man, to get it right. And as an adult,
100%. But
you
that
have a
step
choice.
over wasn't the first time he did it. He would have failed doing that step over.
100%, but it doesn't register to them as kids. It doesn't register. I promise
what
you.
do
Why do you think
kids
kids
like?
repeat stuff?
What do kids like? They like gaming, yeah. Okay,
Cool.
so as a child, yeah, you might have played with your older cousin FIFA, or and they beat you. Let's say you was beating everyone, and then you beat. For you to then beat your cousin, you'd have to probably play him about
And
4
that's
or 5 times.
that's what I was
and
trying to
you'd learn
explain
from
to
it,
you.
yeah?
The loss there is just
And he knows from experience. He
entertainment.
used to get smashed.
No, but I'm just saying. I'm saying that's what kids play. All of these
But
Fortnites,
I feel
whatever.
like
they,
you guys are missing the point here.
Yeah.
The point is, as a child, because you were once a child, right? Everyone was once a child, right? Cool. But
born
as a
like
child, yeah, as a child, you remember your loss as something like, oh man, I hate losing. You're not saying,
Yeah.
oh, how can I learn? Your brain is not even fully developed
I
here.
get what you're saying.
Your brain is really not fully developed.
I get what
okay,
you're
I'm
saying.
gonna do.
I'll give it a good example. When I was in year 5, I played a cup final. So my team won the league and they won the cup final when I was in year 5. But I forgot about that. It's only when I saw a newspaper clipping where I actually remembered that. I remembered the final in year 6 when we lost. And that memory sticks with me forever. I don't remember when we won.
Okay.
It's only when I saw it the other day, I was like, bro, we actually went the whole season unbeaten in the league and the cup. And I just saw that the other day, a newspaper clipping. I was thinking, but I couldn't remember that. So
Okay.
I was in the newspaper and I completely forgot about that. I just remembered the loss because I think I was the captain. Because I played up a year in year 5, I remember being the captain in year 6, losing the final and being in tears. And
Yeah,
that
but I'm not
memory, the
disputing
win
that
don't-
bit.
I forgot about the win.
Yeah, I'm not
loss, I
disputing that bit.
remember.
I'm saying kids learn better and quicker when winning. I'm not disputing. They still learn when losing. That's the key thing I said from the start.
But what they actually learning
But
though,
not in
if they're
football.
winning though? If they're winning, a lot of the time as kids is the excitement. So they get excited. Yes, we won. We're happy. Yes, but what are they actually learning? Are they learning the reason they won? They're just happy the fact they won.
No, because that's what I'm trying to say to you. Now, in psychology, there's something called instrumentality. Instrumentality is when you're using people and using things to achieve something, right? So if you know, and as a sports person, you're playing with, when you get to the peak of your arousal, it's either you're nervous or you've got sweaty palms or something. There's going to be some sort of reaction to
so you say using others, yeah.
Yeah, using others and things, instrumentality.
So with that point, if I'm an under 9 and let's say I'm the weakest in the group, I've just used the best player for me to get that winning feeling. But what have I learned?
And what you've learned is the kids standing there watching is either, like, again, guys, let's not forget, every child is built differently.
Yeah.
There's some kids, they're really good, they watch and learn. They're like visual learners. They just sit there and watch. We have so many of them in ELA. Alex, Caleb, I could just start calling them. These kids were not the greatest. They just sat on the bench with me and watching. And now they're like unbelievable players. Alex goes home and watches football. That's what I'm trying to say to you, that it's not necessarily, I'm not saying you don't learn from losing. 100%, that's why we're created, to learn actually from losing. But what I've realized, kids when winning, they learn so much. You notice when they lose, it hurts them so bad, and that's why they go, what?
Let me use an analogy. Yeah, you're playing FIFA. You're playing on the easiest level, and you're winning 6-7-0.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not learning nothing. You're just winning.
No, you're learning the trade.
You go up a level, and you lose 4-5-0. You start to learn more when you're losing, and you're thinking,
know,
okay,
because
what
you're
do I need to
maneuvering.
do to make sure I don't
Absolutely.
lose
And
again?
some people go back on the easy mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they can't hack it. So
Absolutely.
with that's why I feel like.
But how
when
do you
it-
go up a level though?
you
You go
have
up a
to- you have
level.
to
You
keep
have to go
losing
to that
and
highest
learn.
level.
That's why it's
lose,
called
lose.
develop-
And then,
oh,
then
okay.
you get that breakthrough
But that's why
moment.
it's called development. So
Then you
6,
get that breakthrough
7,
moment.
8, 9, 10. Win. Great. Because your brain is not fully. That's why a lot of kids repeat the same thing. That's why you have naughty kids or the blah, that kid is rude. His brain doesn't even understand consequences fully yet.
But at under 10, that's when their brains are sponges. That's when they want everything.
That's what I'm saying. So when you now get to that 11, 12, 13, like I said, you've got a teenage boy. You can see that some of the conversations you have with him, it flows, correct? Like it flows, like it's a back and forth thing. It's not like you're more of the dominant talker. It's not like you're talking to him, you're talking with him. But when he was younger, it was very much so of talking to him because you're trying to guide him. Hey, you can't do that. That's not okay. That's blah, blah, blah. But if you praise a child at that age, you notice they respond to it really, really well because that's all their brain can take at that moment. So I'm not saying they don't learn from losing. Of course, they're going to learn from losing. People, when you take a player off for not doing, like you were there when I took him off for not doing, when he went back on, he scored goals. And he came back to my brain, yeah, you see, I did it one time, first touch. I did it just by my first touch. Because now he's registering in his brain. Now, this is that same player. He didn't register in his brain last year, though. He didn't. I even had a conversation with his dad, and I was explaining to his dad that once he starts to get used to winning, and he gets it, and once he makes a mistake, I pull him off, he understands the level of it.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
think-
just going back to the fact that
yeah.
it's not necessarily saying, I'm not saying kids can't learn from losing. Of course they're going to learn.
I think
That's-
when it comes to coaching, I think, especially, I think no matter what age, I think if you take the loss and you take the win and you explain, okay, to get to this win more often, you have to coach the why. Why do you do that? Why do I want you to now take pass of one touch there? Why did you want him to shoot first time or take the touch? I feel like you can coach that, so then you now know, okay, you've got the loss now, but just coach the why.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think-
that's
and I
pretty
think-
much
I
why I
think-
explained
And I think
it to him,
those two
yeah.
go hand in hand, the loss, the win, what the win looks like, because I think as humans, it's good to see what the end product looks like. So how do I get there?
Yeah,
And then,
and that's interesting. So
Well, that's the point in essence. It's really hard to have a good side and they're not playing at their level, or they're too good for their level, let's say, and they're not being tested. So because obviously everything's got divisions, everything's got a thing, you've got the development player, and you'll find that the best player would have struggled the most. So it's quite, there's always two sides to it. Whereas if you're a very good player in a weak team, that's good for you at youth level, I think.
yeah, we've had that at ELA where
and that is a great way of
we've had that
developing or
multiple
learning
times.
on the hoop.
we've had that.
they've come into one of the weaker teams, have more touches on the balls, have more 1v1s,
Yeah.
have, you know what I mean? Because the ball's at their feet, they have
Yeah.
more practice of doing it,
Yeah,
then they end up getting signed.
yeah, that's so true.
You know what I mean? Whereas if you're in the better team, you might have 2 1v1s in that team a match. Whereas if you played for the weaker team, you're developing more, and then you're ceiling like a player. I always say that sometimes players that are good, they'd let themselves down in a way because their ceiling is here, and then a player behind them
Just
is looking,
catch
I
up.
want to be as good as
As
you.
yeah.
So my ceiling is now gone past you. You know what I mean?
Going back to what you were saying before, like how do you build that winning mentality? My personal opinion is that you got to create a family. I feel like if you look at every team that's been successful, they have that family feeling.
Yeah, camaraderie.
And you got to create a family, and you got to create standards, and those standards start in training. If you create standards in terms of you want to make the training sessions more difficult than the match itself.
For sure.
So, and you got to create standards, and those standards come in training in terms of working hard, battling everything in training. So when you come into those matches, it becomes a bit more easier. And also with that whole family sense, when you go through difficult moments, if you know I can trust my teammates and, you know, we're going to work together, you're not going to start to blame each other through those difficult moments, you know. So I feel like that's really important, that family feeling and working hard for each other. We've all got a common goal. We've all been through experiences together, and that's made the team stronger. So I feel that's really important.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what Roy Keane said, something similar. He's like, in good teams, coaches hold players accountable.
Yep.
And in great teams, I'm sure you've heard it, players hold players accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's quite important, what Chan said, like to have that winning camaraderie, you need to do it as a team unit. Something even Jamie said, remember, and it was funny, he goes, Martin and Neil, if there's a team night out and you don't go, you're getting fined.
Getting fined, man.
So even things off the pitch, you know, to work together as a team is quite important for you because it's a team sport.
Yeah.
If going back to the Algarve, the first day wasn't the best day. Then we went out for the bowling, and I feel like that brought the team together.
Bonding,
yeah.
And the following day we beat Atletico Madrid.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
that's team bonding.
I
And we do
agree.
that. We do that in ELA. Like I said, like the younger group, me and Coach Mo, as we running it the way we run it. We've had cinema time out. We've told the
Yeah,
parents
man.
to put like 5 to, and the parents are like, raw, because we genuinely do this
And you
because
care
we
about
love
the
it.
kids, man.
We care about
You
the
guys
kids.
have taken them bowling,
Taking them
taking them
restaurant,
cinema,
like
you know.
what I mean. We took
Role
over,
models, like,
over 60
where-
kids.
where'd you get-
in Shepherd's
where'd you
Bush
get
like
out of
gang
club? Yeah,
members.
man. Where'd you-
Yeah, I took on the 13th.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Shepherd's
Where
Bush
do you
like
get a
gang
club where you get top coaches and top role models?
All
man?
we
All
needed
in one.
to do was put them a bandana and just walk down the street
Yeah,
like
man,
that.
they love it. They love
Back
it,
of
man.
us. For
Your
real, man. It
kids
was
are learning
fun.
so much of you guys.
Yeah, it was fun, and some of the parents were like really surprised and really thankful and grateful.
Because they don't get that other clubs.
Of course you
Some
don't
clubs
get that.
obviously do team nights, so I'm not denying that.
Yeah,
But
of
we do it
course.
on a regular, and we care, and we sit down, and we talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, we put in that extra effort, man. So credit to you guys.
No, and also
Credit
the
to you guys.
coaches, especially in ELA, which I believe other coaches should do as well, is outside that, just try to, if you can, just banter with the kids. Because some of these kids, they don't banter outside football. They don't do that at home. They don't do that in school. The life is always serious. Because last year, there's a kid that's not with us. It's not with ELA at the moment because obviously dad had to move house and stuff like that. I could not believe this kid has never watched TV. I thought it was winding me up. I went, sorry? So I thought he meant maybe he misheard what I said.
Is that like on purpose from the parents? Don't
Yeah,
really
from the
watch
parents.
TV?
He's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
watched
yeah.
the TV. He's
Taishi
never
was
watched
like
the
that.
movie. So we've
Right.
gone. We've taken him to the cinema now, and
Loves
He's
books.
like, what's this?
no, he's gone in, and you've got to. This is where culturally sometimes it's really important to have like a nice home in terms of you have whatever you have, like discipline, you have your culture, and you're going through that. Because he just sat there and pretended like he's about this life. Until I sussed him out, he kept on taking too many toilet breaks, and I'm like, all right, cool. I stopped him outside. Then I was
He's
coming.
enjoying the moment.
There's no enjoying the moment. I've walked out, and I saw him sitting on the sofa. I'm like, mate, you're meant to be in the cinema. Health and safety. I was just trying to like banter. I was like, if someone was to take you now, I wouldn't know. Oh, I'll just hear your faint voice go, ah, but you're gone, and I'm laughing. He's laughing, and I'm like, let's go back. He was like, I don't want to watch anymore. I was like, but we have to all be in, so I know we are all, because he's like, no, I've never watched the movie before. I thought, all right, stop with his jokes. And he goes, no, seriously, today's my first time ever. I went, what? He goes, yeah. Then I looked at him again. I was like, this kid is kind of too mature for his age, because some other kids will have like, oh, I've never watched it before, I'm not going. You've agreed to come. It's not like your dad or mom didn't tell you that we're going to the cinema. You've played with us, you've spoken, you actually sat through and watched like maybe 10, 15 minutes of it, and now you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I was like, and I kept on looking at him very weird. So I feel like coaches as well, you need to find a balance between, like me, I find a balance between my banter when I'm joking and when I'm serious. They know when I'm serious. I'm like, okay, this is not happening, and we'll joke. Like I have things, so any other coach is just watching, and I have things where you want a handshake, I'll be like, spot. I'm like, and you see, it's competition for them. Watch any training, just watch when the boys running. Everyone is trying to get me, and I have this thing where I pretend like they're getting me. So on purpose, I know, I'll give you a name now, Isaac. I make him believe that I've
you've lost
forgotten
him
all
now.
about
You
it.
gave
So
up
he
all
will
your
come and go to
secrets.
Zab, like, oh, not you again today. I forgot all about it. That gets him pumped, and he goes away and performs okay. Then he just little things that I feel like coaches can do, like have a nickname for a player. Like for me,
Yeah,
when
man,
he
I
comes
think
in,
that's good.
When he comes in, I go,
think that's
Tottenham
good.
are rubbish. And again,
Yeah,
I don't know why
yeah.
Sammy has not told your parents that they need to ban this kid. And he goes, what? But he's got Liverpool. I'm like, Liverpool's fine, even though I hate them. Do you
That's
get it?
so
Just,
important, man.
it's
Especially
just-
at that age.
Yeah, of course. He will never forget, you know. And sometimes mom will be like, I'm going to call Collins. And that means a lot to him. And that's like, right, I'm not going to
I was
play.
trying to remember their birthday. If they've told me, oh yeah, it's my birthday next week, I make it my duty. I'll be like, oh yeah, how was your birthday?
Or me, I get the boys to sing happy birthday.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see them
yeah.
all embarrassed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see them go through that because a lot of times they don't get that outside
Yeah.
that environment because when they go home, maybe it's just homework.
Yeah.
And dad is busy, mom is busy. School, hey, behave. And they just all robot. And when they come there, they come out of the show. I've seen about 20 kids do that over the years.
That goes
with
back
ENA.
to what we're saying in terms of creating a family kind of
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
and getting to
absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
giving them nicknames and that. And as a kid, you know, that's everything.
Yeah, and we had an
That's
ex
everything,
ELA player came to watch us 2 weeks ago. This is someone that left. I'm like, I'm not going, but he can't. They can't just. It came all the way to watch us play. And we
And
beat
his
the
full
team
kit.
15. Funny enough, this kid has turned up to the game. He's giving me a hug. Mom is giving me a hug. We've talked, of course, cool. And he saw one of his classmates playing for the other team. And I've looked at this kid, and he's gone up to the kid going, he doesn't even play for ELA anymore. He has no business with ELA. He's gone to the other kid. We're gonna smash you today. And we're playing now. He's watched the kids are playing football. They're winning 6-0. And he's backed off his jacket. He's like, oh, do you need me? He still got his ELA kit. Then after the game, mom was like, oh, you know what? He said if he ever gets signed, he's still gonna present the ELA. I was like, oh, that's nice. So that means ELA's done something for him that mentally now is stuck in his head. All right, okay, you know what? I even missed this place, and I feel like if I ever make it, I'll go back to the roots. So I just feel like I don't know about other people's what's it called, stories in terms of like the grassroots teams, but I just feel like coaches need to get involved more with the kids. Not involved where you get arrested, but I mean just involved to an extent. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just get involved in a sense where the kid can actually open up sometimes to you and to the club. You can help out. You never know, because a lot of kids, it could be the difference between them going to academy, becoming professionals by
Or just better people.
exactly, better
Staying
people.
out of trouble,
And
man.
we have
Some of these kids go through a lot nowadays, man. So
we
if
have
they-
ex-players that
if
are
they
now
can-
coaches.
Yeah,
It's not-
and if they can,
there
if
you
you're
go.
a coach that they can confide in, they can't tell their parents certain scenarios. You can keep them out of trouble.
Absolutely.
ultimately, you know, so
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
valid
And
point.
yeah, that's true. That's true. We have coaches and players, ex-players that are now coaches for ELA
No
as
coaches,
well.
yeah.
So which is a good thing as well. So it's in that sense, like if I was to ask you guys, do you already see traits of future coaches in your teams?
To be honest, Hick was in my under 15.
You can see that from early.
Yeah, I could see that from
What
I
was
feel
he
like
doing?
I feel like you can see leaders from a young
Hick
age.
should be here though. Why is he hiding?
Yeah, we'll bring him on the next one. I feel like
Yeah.
you can see leaders from early.
So what was special about Hick that you could see that? Oh, he's terrible at
So the
football.
funny story is we played Hick's team. So the team he played for before, I think we played them at Regent's Park, and we must have beat them 15-0. And I remember,
ELA?
Yeah, ELA.
Oh, okay.
So when I was coaching the under 15s, we beat them 15-0. The next week, him and Finn, you remember Finn?
it's
They
Finn.
were at training the next week, wanting to join ELA. So they ended up
If you
joining.
can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, they ended up joining. And yeah, but when I was putting on drills and I was coaching, Hick was saying this is the first time he's actually been coached like properly, like to do things. He couldn't do kick ups before, and my warm up is 2-touch, so we're doing kick ups, and then throughout the season I could just see traits of captaincy and I thought.
But what were the traits though? What were the
Well-
traits that you would see in a player?
So leadership, good communication, especially he played centre back, so organising the defence. Good role model. Will help with the equipment. Will come on time. You know what I mean? Just looks the part. So I feel like
So for
But-
kids, leadership, communication,
and
punctuality.
team talks, good information.
Yeah, so just touching on what Anako said, how can this be transferable to your son or you as a footballer trying to make it? That ultimately made him go up 2 in your ratings, right? Like you thought of him higher, right?
Yeah.
Like you thought he was better, right?
Yeah.
So you liked him more.
Yeah.
You would pick him more. So that's what I'm trying to say. At every sort of level, be likable. Because ultimately, that's a free trait. He could have been rubbish at football. He's not. He's a good player, but he could have been rubbish. But ultimately, that made him maybe start over another player. Maybe you pick him over another player.
Yeah.
So if you're a footballer trying to make it, the least you can do is be likable, have good communication, help the coach, and listen.
Yeah, remember, coaches are humans too. And every human being, whether they like it or not, they've got an ego. Could be small ego, massive ego. People like it being massaged. So if, for instance, you walk in and you're rude, a coach is going to register that.
100%.
Even if you're really good, naturally, subconsciously, he's probably going
A
to...
coach doesn't
take it out
want
of
to
the
be
team.
challenged.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine, even at professional level, where they're getting paid 200 grand, you don't want a player to walk in. He might be the guy. You don't want him to walk in and undermine the coach, because he's gonna be like, whoa, he's undermining me in front of everyone else.
Absolutely.
So the most basic thing you can do to become a better footballer is be a nice person and be
Absolutely,
likable
Absolutely.
and do the traits that Ronaldo just said. No,
Yeah, so those are the traits.
You know what's
leadership.
funny though?
Yeah.
Like, they say coaches don't like to be challenged, but one player I actually loved challenging, and we used to challenge is Santi that got signed.
Raw.
Yeah.
Well, there's challenges in different ways.
Yeah.
There's challenges in
Used to
different
Oh
ways.
my
disagree with you
days.
on a lot of things.
Santi, I think you should go and play left back. No, I don't want to play left back. Okay, his dad, Santi, I think you should listen to Ronaldo. Doesn't want to play left back. He's now left, come back to ELA. Oh, Santi, where do you play now? A left back. So, and this was at under 12. So under 12, there was a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't want to play left back. And then congratulations to him, man. Signed for
You know
Wimbledon.
what? Touching on that, parents, please, if you're watching this, please, sometimes, we're not gods, We're gods on earth, obviously. Every human being is a god on earth. But we're not like the ultimate god where you have to listen. But try to just give us an ear. I've said it so many times to too many players. A player joined ELA. I looked at him first training. I said, I think he's a goalkeeper. Dad almost chopped my head off. I'm just telling you what I think. Hey, guess what? He's now a goalkeeper. Trains here, he goes to keeper, whatever the case is. Another player. I told Dad, you know what? I genuinely think he's a left back. No. He's gone here. They say he's a winger. Okay. We'll try him in a game, right? Let's play him in the wing. Play him in the wing. He's a left back. Oh, no. Anyway, they've left ELA. Now they've come back to tell me, oh, you were right. He's now a left back.
It's because as coaches, I think you have to try and predict the future.
Yeah, of course.
And probably as a scout as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
It's
you
part
see
of talent identification.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, from ELA, under our guidance, my guidance, we've had over 60 players sign up professional clubs. I would say the majority of them were moved position
Yeah.
to accommodate that position. So, for example, a winger that's been moved to right back, or a centre mid that's moved to centre back. It's not always the most favourable position that you want to play. Is your best position.
The best position, yeah.
You know,
of
and
course.
I said it.
think you
I
get
said it.
more
I said it
success.
last time. I'm gonna say it again, and I want them to come for me. Yeah, it's easier to make it as a wing, right back, left back than a winger.
Absolutely.
Chan's like it says, the inverted left backs, right backs. Okay, the game has changed. No denying it. Regardless, it's still harder to be a winger because you've got to score. Why are the wingers worth the most amount of money? Why are the strikers worth the most? It's still very hard with the modern day, how it's inverted and blah, blah, blah. But
Like
beating a player, going
That's
at now, a lot of players now don't want to take that risk and beat a player.
They don't want to. That's why
You
the
know what
story,
I mean?
the
So-
famous story of Casemiro, turned up for trials, and he's a striker. Casemiro is naturally a striker. Turned up for trials with his uncle, saw a bag of strikers, and he goes, "There's zero chance." of me
Kante
making
was
it."
another one. He was a winger as well.
Yeah.
And,
He said, "What? I'm
Dembele
just gonna play
was a winger
defense."
as well.
Leicester did play him out wide a couple of times. Just to
No, he's
accommodate him.
nifty.
And
He
then
can do it. He's nifty.
went
He
straight
can do
in.
it, but it's not a natural position. So it's one of those things where just listen out, and you can try to negotiate with your coach. Like, just negotiate. Okay, coach, I'll play centre back, but is it okay? I have that now in my group. They're shocked that I'm even having, like, I'm open-minded to it. But they don't know I'm not just being open-minded. I just want everyone else to see what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So if a parent is approaching me, I want my child to play in goal, for instance. I'm just picking. I don't want to be like a specific position so they don't know what I'm talking about. Or I want to play this, that. I'll be like, okay, sure. Play them there. And you see that they're not flourishing as well. And I return them back to the natural position and they look flawless. So you're like, you don't have to tell the parent.
Yeah, I
They
feel
can
like
see it.
at that age, at a young age, let them try out many
Of course,
positions,
100%.
which is normal.
100%.
But ultimately, if you want to get signed at a club, you might need to listen to coaches that know more than you. Don't tell a tech computerist how to do his job.
Exactly. A doctor.
You know, we don't
yeah.
tell a doctor how to do his job. Until you've put 60 guys in academies, guys, yeah, come talk to me, bro. Like, you get me? Seeing bad people in the comments, like, bro, you work in tech, bro.
He's probably arguing with the algorithm.
Yeah, like,
he's like, oh, why is this on my
Yeah,
screen?
look, if you're on X Pro or something, yeah, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
chat. But
chat,
like in terms of specializing and getting kids signed, like
Yeah.
I've kind of done it, right? And just testament to like Chan, for example, your son before come to us in a different position. When we moved him into defense, that's when he started getting trials, right? So ultimately, just drop the ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one wants to be a defender, right? Because we said the young kids don't want to be defenders, but ultimately, it's easier to make it as a defender. But if you can't be a centre back, getting moved to centre back, and you don't have the height, so ultimately, for certain positions like centre back in this country, you need to be over 6'2". Keeper as well, you need to be over 6'2". Right back, left back, you can obviously have a bit of leeway as well. So like when we're saying move players into defence, we're talking about. So when I was saying it as well, there were some people were mentioning in the comment section first team players. I'm like, no, this is an academy podcast. I'm not talking about moving first teamers to centre back.
yeah.
They've already done that.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about academy players that are 12, 13, 14, moving them into defence, then teaching them how to defend later on.
Well-
But they've got the basics because all the academies now, they play out from the back.
Yeah.
You need to be good on the ball.
Yeah.
You know, so
Even goalkeepers need to be good on the ball.
Exactly.
It's so important for their development to play different positions, regardless if they move back or forward.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and if they want to break into a first team, if they do make it, like, imagine it's like Ashley Cole. He was a striker, wasn't he?
Yeah,
And then they go, well, you're not
loads
gonna,
of players.
You're not going to get in the Arsenal team.
Loads of
In a
people.
striker, but you're a
Yeah.
very
You've got to be well rounded.
You've got to be well rounded. Yeah, yeah.
No, but
Footballer
sometimes
first.
it's the same
You've got
way.
to be an open book to a certain
Yeah,
degree.
because
You're
you
not-
never
you're
know
not
what you
finished
really
article
like.
Even
ever,
what
are
Carlton Cole said, he was like, when I was in Chelsea's academy, I
was
was
a
a midfielder.
centre-
I was a
central
midfielder. And after he had a career, a very, very good career as a striker.
Reece James was a centre mid as well.
So many people, man. So like, if you want to make it to that next level, literally listen to people that have done it. You know, that's why I recommend ELA. Obviously, we've got 60 players signed over that. Coaches know what they're talking about. So if you come here, we'll give you the harsh truth. And if you want to take it on board and become an academy footballer, take it on board. If you want to go have fun in the park, go join another team.
Got to be
And-
open-minded.
You know what I mean?
man.
Like if you want to
open-minded,
progress and become a better player and
And
take
to
yourself
be
to that next
fair-
level, this is what we do. This is the home for it.
Absolutely. And I've
We're
heard-
harsh. We care.
Yeah.
We'll give you the right feedback. I would like to think our technical advice is 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And I think over this weekend anyway, we had not an issue really. A parent was not happy with the minutes the child got. But remember, like I said, there's a difference between a league game, which is a development game, and a cup game. So cup game is where you start to instill the winning mentality into kids. Like, oh, you're fighting for something because other kids are fighting for, other teams are fighting for something. Now, also, when coaching as well, that's the time to sort of teach the kids what's working and what's not working. So in life, when they go to a place, if something is not working, you don't need no one to nudge you and go, what should you do? You're just like, oh, this is not working. I'm going to try some other way.
Yeah,
Cool.
with the position thing, I think what Sammy spoke about is, I think it's important that we maybe, okay, you're a winger, I think you should play centre back. But then if they still believe that they should be a winger, it should be a thing of, okay, well, this is the expectation for a winger.
course.
This is what you need to be producing.
Yeah.
And this is where I feel like you're not.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Absolutely.
you will produce more.
I want to
Yeah.
do a fantastic example because we can back it up with facts, not someone that works in tech. Okay, so like,
This guy's got this tech
Yeah, like,
guy's winding him up.
because I've got so many examples of the 60 players that we've got signed up clubs coming to us in a certain position and getting signed in a certain position. So Callum, you know Callum,
Yeah,
come to us as a winger.
yeah, winger.
He didn't even make the A team as a winger.
Damn.
Yeah, and he was playing in the B team. His dad, this is a fantastic story. So his dad was speaking to me. He's like, listen, we're going to leave the club, man. He's in the B team. Why is he not in the A team? I was like, listen, man, just give it some time. Credit to him. He showed resilience. He didn't leave the team. Credit to him. He stayed with the club. And I was like, you know what? We've got a game against Peterborough coming soon. What I'm going to do, it was me who done it. I was like, what I'm going to do, look, I'm going to put him as a left back. I don't have a left back at the moment. I can see him potentially playing as a left back, all right? He's got the frame. He's left-footed. We literally put him in left back for a B team player. Yeah? Couldn't get into the A team. Moved his position. First time in his career playing as a left back. Played left backs against Cat 2 Peterborough. Best player on the pitch. Gets invited back for a trial. Gets signed within the trial. And just I think last month he just signed a scholar
Yeah, signed a
at
scholar.
Peterborough United.
As a
Cat
left
two,
back.
as a left back. Left sided centre back now as well.
Left-sided
So they've
centre
kind of
back.
moved him a little bit even more. Left back, left sided centre back.
Nice.
So credit to you. Massive credit to you. You didn't show. He showed resilience. He showed drive. They could have been like, "Oh, I'm in the B
Patience,
team. I'm leaving." No. You work for that
Absolutely.
resilience.
That's
If
something
you
we need
back
to- yeah.
yourself, keep working and try becoming the best team that you can possibly.
Yeah, because we've had teams,
Because we're a fantastic team.
We've had
We
parents.
won't
Yeah,
you got
no
that
environment.
opportunity from us.
Yeah.
We put you in front of the
We've
sky.
had parents leave ELA in the past anyway because of their child has not been moved to the JPL or to the 18. And I'm thinking to myself as a parent, what are you teaching your child?
Because
For
the
me, it's
JPL
all about
sounds good.
competition.
It
Yeah, I
sounds
know it
good in
sounds good.
conversation. I
Yes.
feel like for parents, they see the JPL or they see the
That's the
Premier
Premier
Division,
League, yeah.
and they think that their son or daughter being in that league
There's a better chance to get
means
scouted.
that they're going to be a good player. But
No,
no,
or just a chance to get
but
scouted.
if you have an opportunity to, and this is why I the under 16 white team in Division 4 is my favorite team in ELA, because all of those players, they're developing, but they can't, they're in a team that I'm not going to look at. I can't look at someone else to do the job for me.
Nah, we all
I have to do it
it.
myself. Everybody in that team has to do it.
Yeah.
So you mean,
Like
so they played a team in the cup that was 2 divisions above them, and it's like, we have to, as a team, get ourselves through this. There's no maverick in the team. There's no star player. Do you understand? And they're getting the ball, and they won't have that. They wouldn't have had that opportunity if they were in better teams. Do you understand? They're all in that team, and I believe that at the end of the season, they're all going to be better players. Every single one of them.
And that's interesting because absolutely parents should just understand that when your child is playing, be happy the child is playing. Actually, first of all, like we said earlier, development is important. So it doesn't matter what league or standard. Of course, the standard matters to a degree, but if I'm playing in a certain and I'm thinking, well, my child it's exciting for me. My child is playing in B, and suddenly, like you have that with your son as well, he's moved up now. It's like, wow, nice, the competition. That's what you're instilling in a child. The older he gets, he starts to realize I can apply this in the real world, in the real life. Oh, I can't stay here. No, I'm gonna work hard to go up to the next level. And you see parents moaning about, oh, my child didn't have minutes. No, your child didn't get minutes. Why? Because your child didn't work hard enough. Your child wasn't ready on that
to
day.
get rid of this
Do you know what I'm saying?
entitlement.
Exactly. So the other kids that really come in and change the game, like you made an example of Romeo, change the game.
If you're the best player in your age group, you deserve every opportunity.
1 million
If you're the
%.
best player in your team, you deserve every opportunity.
1,000,000%.
If you're not the best player yet, then you might need to find your level, or do you understand? Maybe start again and get as many touches as the ball, get as many opportunities playing at a level maybe where you can make mistakes, and then you get into the level that you want, and then you're not just a passenger.
It's like the
But-
equivalent of going out on loan. It's
Yeah,
like, go out
yeah.
on loan, get your minutes, come back.
Learn
And that's
your
what I said. In
craft.
ELA, we've had that so many times. Like Sammy just said to me before off the pod as well, he was there for the game, watching the full thing. A kid called Romeo, that's not his age group. He's turned up. He's late. He looked disengaged. He looked vacant. He looked like, I don't want to be here. But I've seen him play so many times. I've coached him. And I said to him, Romeo, do you know what I expect from you? He goes, well, very vacant. You're like, oh, he's not ready. But I knew that's his demeanor. That's him. And I just want you to go up front and I just need 1 goal from you. That's all I said to this kid. And how many goals did he turn up with?
2 great goals, yeah.
That's it. I didn't say nothing more. I didn't say, I need you to go through the left in the corner. No, I just said, I need 1 goal from you. And he's just gone up there too. So, guys, it's one of those things again that we'll keep doing this. We're gonna do this with our Sammy, by the way. This time for real. I need the coaches to come through. Even if we have to put our money together to come through, let's do it. Because the man himself is flying to Dubai, and so we'll be back. We'll be back.
Have
So,
you-
I think
have
we've
you-
got
have
a
you on
couple
the
minutes,
screen?
man. Like obviously, Renaco's coming to academy manager. You know, like he's done a good job. Credit to you. You know, like it's hard going from close friends, which these guys are obviously to you, to sort of telling them kind of.
no, you can't tell me what to do. I'm joking.
kind of like you gotta find that balance. Even what's his name said it. Jamie Lawrence is like Paul Jewell was the assistant manager. I was friends, and he became the manager. And that like sort of
So I had to,
like how are you finding like managing these guys
I think
and the club and the adjustment from coach to academy manager and stuff like.
to be honest, they haven't made it hard. To be honest, you know what I mean.
I think I did a good job, man.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying,
they
like.
haven't made it hard. I feel like they've got a good work ethic, so I think it's made it quite easy
Yeah.
to set certain things. I think the advice or the stuff that I have said to them, they've taken it on. Like the standard of coaching has definitely improved. Like it's just little things that I thought, you know,
What's
what?
the biggest difference from being a coach and then running the club?
You got more free time.
You got more free time?
That's for him. I'm answering for him.
Mate,
Do you know how much
phone
work
is
you do?
stopped.
I'm being sarcastic.
Okay,
Oh,
so
it's been
okay,
sarcastic.
the hardest thing for me at the beginning was balancing my time. Like I always thought something wasn't done, and I'll be sleeping and waking up and thinking, have I done that?
Yeah.
I think the admin, the influx of admin that went on to another level. I feel like that's probably the hardest
I
thing.
think, do you know what is the funniest thing? So as you saw me walking with Ronaldo these last 2 weeks, and I'm literally me just checking players, auditing players, and the same thing that you guys were slating us at.
Yeah.
Why have you man taking pictures? This way is slow to register players, bro. We literally type a player's name in, we see his picture so we know who it is, which is the most important thing. We can't do that from the email. Then straight away we've got their email, parents' number, and what age group they are. And that helps us so much within running the club. So if you see me run in the whole training session went like this, who's this? That's Joe Blogs, bam. Okay, he's in the right age group. Has he signed up? Because I need to check his email. I put it into the system. So things like that are important, man. I feel like, yeah, you've managed it well.
Yeah.
I'll credit to you,
Yeah.
man.
Well, to be fair, we don't have much time, but it's a shame that Sammy didn't ask us how have we received him.
I didn't finish.
Yeah, man.
They say please wrap up.
Joking.
They say please wrap up. They
Yeah,
give
yeah.
us like 5,
But-
6 minutes,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
calm, man.
yeah,
The amount of
but-
bookings we've done here. You know what I mean? So
But the thing is, yeah,
how
we're
have
not
you
co-
received them? That was
Oh
going to
no,
be my
no,
next
it's
question.
been great. Obviously, I do my
Yeah.
work. He does his. That's life, man. You just say, listen, life is like what's it called? A car lane. You see, you're just going this way, you're going that way, you're going this way. You know what I mean? Do your stuff. No one bothers you in that sense. And I think it's been amazing, except the fact that he needs to chase up London Youth League, man. But how would my team not been? They won
Bro,
10-1 and it doesn't reflect. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But guys,
yeah.
listen, we have to go. Thank you guys for tuning
Did you
in.
do your match report?
I did everything. I always, bro. When I was JP, I always do it quick. As soon as the game done, I'm doing it. I'm
JPL?
good with it.
Does it have a match report on JPL?
No, we had to, man. We had to put in the scores. No, we had to put in the scores. You forgot it until Ronaldo said,
How
"Guys,
you
give it to
feel
me."
you do?
No,
Wow.
no,
Wow.
JPL. You see, he's lost touch. He's lost his touch.
No,
This guy's not
I
with
just
us.
put in the scores.
That's because now you do it. But before we had to do it. No, we had to do it.
But
I
that's not a
promise you.
report.
JPL, you know what I mean. Put in the
He's
scores,
just
it's still
trying to-
report.
trying to get
Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah. But at the end of the day, guys, listen, thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, you know, ELA. We are ELA. Subscribe, like, all of that stuff people say. And we are saying it now. So yeah, just do that. And follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and all that stuff. And again, we've got Sammy, Renako, Big Kev, Mr. Chan himself, and Mr. Banks. Guys, we're out. We'll see you some other time again. Peace.
Peace out, man.